Hi, we're back. Another episode in our revision series. I believe this is episode 8. Today, or in this episode, it's all the same day. We're going to talk about consolidation and maintenance of power for Fidel Castro, use of legal methods, use of force, charismatic leadership, dissemination of propaganda, and nature, extent, and treatment of opposition. This part I think is a little bit short on the Castro end compared to some of the stuff that we talked about with Hitler. Let's get into it. Propaganda. Here is where there's, in my opinion, a major difference between Castro's emergence and propaganda there, and Castro's consolidation and propaganda there. Here, it's a lot like Hitler, right? We're going to have a lot of censorship. The state is going to take over media very, very, very quickly because, again, most of the media was established as pro-U.S. and Batista, so they kind of had to take over the media. Grandma is going to be the newspaper that is a state-sanctioned newspaper, and it's going to be heavy, heavy, heavy propaganda that paints almost everything that Castro does as a success. Radio Havana is going to be used very similar to radio under Nazi Germany, that it kind of puts out ideological pro ideology things, things pro communism, things pro Marxist Leninism, and kind of is used to keep the revolutionary spirit alive. Billboards and posters are going to be used to, again, spread those ideological messages. Street art is going to continue, but there are going to be a lot of restrictions on it, and this is the part that's kind of hard to describe, right? Because when it was street art under emergence, like, street art by nature is supposed to push a narrative and be anti-establishment and have a message to it, right? By putting restrictions on street art, it's technically not street art at all anymore, right? So this is kind of down the line. It has such a negative effect on some of these street artists where they're not even sure what the guidelines are. They're pretty much going to say that if Castro liked it, it got to stay. If not, you were in trouble. That it led to a real zap of creativity known as the Gray Period in, I believe, the 70s. And then Castro and Che's images are going to be used a lot as propaganda to kind of foster this idea of a cult of personality between the two of them as the leaders of the world revolutions. Legal methods, he has these. Hitler didn't. He's got them. Legal methods, right? So he's going to establish a council of ministers to be the highest branch of the Cuban government. The council of ministers is going to be mostly M26-7 movement people at the beginning. He said that he would restore the 1940 Constitution when he came to power. That didn't happen until 1976. However, that 1976 Constitution does have some interesting aspects. Trade union leaders are going to be replaced by M26-7 movement people, aka pro Castro people. And then the M26-7 movement as a whole is going to expand in 60 and 61 to kind of engulf the Communist Party, which is that marriage of M26-7 movement ideology and Marxist-Leninist ideology. Cool. Treatment of opposition. The most obvious one, and this is where we can make some links to Hitler's Germany and like Night of Long Knives concentration camp vibes. I hate that I just said concentration camp vibes, but I said it and it's recorded and I'm not going to start it over. So we move. Public show trials for Batistanos, right? So these Batista supporters are going to get show trials, right? The outcome of the trial was already determined. Many of them never even saw a trial. They just were placed in front of firing squads. People that did not align with the ideology of the revolution or match the fervor and spirit of the revolution were prosecuted against. All right. but here's where things are going to be a little bit different than kind of prosecution in Nazi Germany and prosecution in Cuba. If you, again, if it was just an ideological difference, or you didn't like what Castro was doing, he kept an open border for you and you could just go to the United States, right? If you thought things would be better for you outside of Cuba, he kind of let you leave, whereas Hitler did not do that. So there are differences in terms of treatment of opposition, even though in general, it's similar, right? If they didn't like you, they didn't want you around, right? And one, they killed you, and the other, they let you leave, but also killed you, right? Um, as Castro got more entrenched as a dictator, opposition to Castro is going to grow. Not hard to wrap your head around that, or at least in my opinion. If you were a factory owner or a landowner, you probably didn't like Castro very much because he took your land and redistributed it. If you were a peasant who didn't want to work in state sponsored farms, you probably didn't like Castro. If you are a writer or an artist, the censorship probably bothered you after one point, aka the gray period. If you were a pro trade union person, you probably didn't like Castro because he took over your trade unions. If you were pro American, you definitely didn't like Castro because he probably killed you. That's the show trials for Batistanos. So yeah, not pretty widespread opposition dealt with in different ways. He's going to set up the Committee for Defense of the Revolution, also known as CDRs. This is Gestapo esque, right? They do the same job as the Gestapo in terms of surveillance, and if things are not, if there's someone who's not really abiding by the ideology or going against the grain of the community, they are going to report them to the state. So the Gestapo is the state in Nazi Germany that had total power, right? Total say. Was a Gestapo, was a police state, right? That Nazi Germany. The CDRs are going to report things back to the state, and the state will deal with it how they see fit. So it's like little kind of spy surveillance networks in each community. Huber Matos is an example of opposition to Castro. That's an M26-7 movement person that was pretty close to Castro the entire come up, but after he switched to Marxist-Leninist ideology, he comes out as pretty anti-communist and didn't think that was the right move for Castro. And Huber Matos is going to be placed in jail for 20 years. Armando Vallardes is going to be another person that opposes Castro. He is going to be a government official that refuses to put a pro-Castro sign on his desk as a form of protest, and he's going to be sentenced to jail time as well, right? So in some cases, treatment of opposition is not as harsh as Germany, but the overall idea of censorship and taking out your opposition remains the same. That's it for this episode. We will take on success or failures of foreign policy in the next episode. Hope this helps. I'll catch you in episode 9.